Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to one of the weekly live streams where we have a bit of a gab. You know how it works by now. There's no point in me going over the top and trying to explain what happens. Pardon me if I slur any of my speech or I take any deep pauses. I've got a very inconvenient ulcer, and it is hurting. It really is hurting. So I'm trying to speak as slowly and coherently as possible, while also trying to ensure I don't slabber all over the fucking microphone. Pardon the French, but that's the case. That's where we are right now. Hello, it's nice to see you. Good evening. Plenty of people piling in, by the way. Nearly 150 viewers already. We've just started. Nice to see some of the familiar faces in the chat. Good evening, Thomas. Good evening, Michael. Good evening, Declan. Good evening, Leo. Good evening, Colin. Good evening to each and every single one of you who are in there. If you're watching live or if you're watching it back in video form later in the night, then come on in, hit like and subscribe. If you haven't already, it would be much appreciated. We're here tonight to kind of get up to date with the transfers that are incoming at Celtic, hopefully incoming at Celtic, and then obviously just have our normal Q&A segment where I get your questions, I give you my answers. It's all just a bit of a laugh really, and we have a wee bit of a chat, because today has been yet another quiet day, isn't it? There's not been much going on. Late last night we did have some updates on certain players that we're going to talk about in a moment, but they aren't groundbreaking updates. They aren't updates that really give us much more information than we already knew, which is quite frustrating, but I guess it kind of emphasises the priorities being dealt with at the club at the moment. By the way, before we go on any further, thank you very much, Sean, for the super sticker. It's much appreciated. Remember, if you want to donate, you can. It's completely optional. But thank you. I appreciate that, Sean. God bless. So we've had some updates, which aren't really updates, but as I was about to say, I think it stresses the point in which the club are prioritising three specific players right now. They're prioritising three areas, two of them being the permanent deals of Paulo Bernardo and Adam Idah. And then above and beyond that, we have the goalkeeper, which is the utmost priority of the club to strengthen this starting 11, to bring somebody in as soon as possible so that we are starting the first game of the season against Kilmarnock in a few weeks' time with a new number one between the sticks. Thank you very much to user 1967 for the donation. Good evening to you too. God bless you. Thank you. I appreciate it. So we'll have a look at those stories. But I was setting up for tonight's stream, and I just thought there is something that is very suitable for right now. There's something that was made this time last year that applies to right now. Should we have a look? All credit to Mixu, by the way. Make sure to go and subscribe to him. But just remember this one.
We're not on the back four. You're gonna need to make a move, Brendan. We're not on the back four. Here's some areas to improve, Brendan. Need a left back and a keeper right now. I don't likely win the league, but what if we're wrong? A left back and a keeper could just keep us strong. And please, Matt O'Reilly, stay. Keep it at right back, and the league is in the back.
This song has great character.
Keep it at right back, and the title's in the back. They make it home.
Subscribe to Mixu for more great character.
The end of the video says make sure to subscribe to Mixu. That work stands true now this year as it did this time last year. But I was reading up on Twitter earlier and a few tweets were popping up on my timeline, and obviously friend of the channel and former Celtic Defender pundit Ryan McGinley put up a very good tweet in regards to the position we're in now with 26 days until the first game of the season. We're 26 days away from kick-off. We still don't have a keeper. We still don't have a left-back. We still don't have Idah and Bernardo. We still don't have a head of recruitment either. So there is questions to be asked at the club. But I'm not going to jump in two-footed right now, because come the end of the transfer window, who knows where we'll be. We might be really, really happy if we're patient and we get the right signings in. So we'll just need to wait and see. We'll take your questions and get the answers on it. Let's jump over a few of these stories very quickly then. We'll start with Paulo Bernardo. who is one of the people who are in the thumbnail, by the way. I'm glad that some of you enjoyed me bringing back the old Mixu clip. This was a story that broke late last night about Paulo Bernardo and his update on regards to his transfer to Celtic. His transfer is still on. A fee has been, quotation mark, agreed with Benfica with one hurdle left to clear. It's not much of an update. It's just kind of dragging on what we've already known about this. However, it has been reported, a fee has been agreed with Paulo Bernardo. It is edging closer. Mais Football of Portugal is claiming that a fee of around £4.2 million has been agreed between both clubs. Now, the only thing that we didn't know from the previous updates over the last few weeks was the fee. We didn't know what the exact number was. We know that Celtic were wanting to negotiate the original £6.5 million release clause that was in the deal, and it seems they've managed to shed a couple of £1 million off of that. We've now got it down to 4.2 million. The big stumbling block has always been with the wages for Bernardo, it seems. We heard that rumour that he wanted to match what he was getting at Benfica. Celtic just weren't going to do that. But I think, and by all accounts, it seems the reports are suggesting that Bernardo really wants the move. Paulo Bernardo wants to be a Celtic player. So on that note, I think that there will be compromise made. I think that we will see Paulo Bernardo a permanent and an official Celtic player sometime soon. It's just a matter of when that deal will be reached. He'll obviously fly over to Glasgow, get the medical, he'll do all the usual hullabaloo. But that is progressing nicely. I think that we will see him become a permanent player. I would just love to see the headline come out tonight that a contract has been agreed, because that is the next big step. So that was the case with Paulo Bernardo. We now turn our attentions to another update that came out last night surrounding the goalkeeper department and Celtic's apparent top target, Peter Vindahl Jensen, with some headlines going on to suggest that Celtic have relaunched their transfer bid for the Sparta Prague goalkeeper, as quoted in the record as well. It says that Celtic will make another move to land Peter Vindahl Jensen in this window. He is amongst Celtic's top summer targets. They've been trying to strike a deal for several weeks, but the Czech side are reluctant to sell. And here's the interesting part, and here's the bit that we have been waiting for. Apparently, Sparta Prague will not sell the player unless they get a deal that includes a fee in excess of £8 million, which of course would smash any sort of record for a fee paid for a goalkeeper, not only at Celtic but in this country. We've never spent £8 million on a keeper. The highest we went was at £5.5–6 million that we spent on Vasilis Barkas. £8 million is a lot of money. It includes a big risk. It includes people getting the fear that we're going to repeat what happened with Barkas as well. £8 million is what Sparta Prague want. Very quickly, thank you to Sean. I very much appreciate it. Saying, what's the most that I would pay for Vindahl Jensen? Very appropriately timed question. So we probably should talk about it here. I don't think, if I was to go out here on a limb, I don't think Celtic are going to pay £8 million for a goalkeeper. I don't think they're going to pay £8 million for Peter Vindahl Jensen. They will negotiate and negotiate and negotiate. They will hustle and bustle. They will try everything in their power to bring that number down as much as they can. I would be shocked if Celtic want to pay anything more than £6 million for a keeper. I think that their top dollar would be £6 million. So no, I don't think they'll pay £8 million. Should they pay the £8 million is a different question. I think people will have their different opinions on that. Now, if there is room to make a deal possible on the table here, that includes add-ons, that includes sell-on percentages, that includes different structuring to the deal, which would bring the number up eventually. Celtic should explore that option as well, whether it's paying a certain amount of money after league appearances, after international appearances, just through sell-on clauses altogether. Celtic should do their best to try and explore that side of the deal. But what will Sparta Prague be willing to do? That's the question, because they have just signed Peter Vindahl Jensen for, I think it was £4 million, €5 million, I think, roughly, which means they want to make a profit on that. They don't want to just be selling him for a fee that doesn't mean they recoup anything they've just spent. And after the season he's had, where he's been very good and very important in a league-winning side and a cup-winning side where they won the double, you know, they will know that they have the advantage here when it comes to negotiations. So apparently Sparta Prague do want £8 million at least for the player. if they're not going to budge on that, and if they're not going to move on that, as much as I would love Celtic to sign him, and in my opinion, I think he's we spoke about this yesterday on the channel. He's the guy that I want. He's the keeper that I want at Celtic. I think that he's my top option personally. But if they do not come down from 8 million, I think we can forget it. I just don't think the board are going to spend that on a keeper, especially when there are options on the table. And I don't want it to happen. You all know my opinions on it. I can once again only refer you to yesterday's video to make my point abundantly clear. But if there's options like Martin Dubravka on the table where they don't have to pay a single penny, they're not going to pay £8 million. So this is one that could go on for a couple of weeks. So Scott Burns reported that last night, and I would not expect anything to develop in the immediate future in the next couple of days. I think this could be a slow burner, but Celtic need to do their due diligence. They have to look at their options. They have to look at what keepers they can bring in, because we can't hold off too much longer. We need to have someone in for that first game of the season. It's as simple as that. And we've not even started talking about left backs. We've not even started talking about centre halves. They need to get this off and get this keeper ticked off the list. I see, for example, let's bring in a couple of points here. Kieran Deeney saying that we're lowballing with transfers. It's embarrassing. Yeah, I get that. I understand, but £8 million for a keeper, you've got to understand, is a hefty fee for Celtic. And this isn't me defending the board or penny pinching or anything like that. It is, and especially when not only the board will be, but a lot of Celtic fans are still scarred from the money we spent on Vasilis Barkas. That was a lot of money, and he's arguably the worst keeper Celtic have ever had. So fans are rightly scarred by that. There's going to be trust issues if we spend big money on a keeper. So Celtic will want to bring that number down. Donny Tiny Hands saying we need 2 goalkeepers. Absolutely, I agree with that as well. But this is right. So I seen this point in my video yesterday, and I don't think it's a fair assumption. Jensen has had 1 season of first team football under his belt. He's not good enough from AZ. So I seen a couple of people saying he didn't get the chance at AZ Alkmaar. He wasn't good enough at AZ Alkmaar. Well, you know, the other options on the table are keepers who are not wanted by their clubs. The other options on the table are keepers who have had struggles at certain teams. Our last few goalkeepers have been keepers who have had struggles at other teams. Craig Gordon, Joe Hart. You know, I've learned from that mistake in the sense that, you know, Joe Hart, I thought he was done. He was wasted. Oh, he's been crap at his last 5 clubs. Still came in, done a job for Celtic. Well, AZ Alkmaar's a good team with a good keeper. Hard to get into. He's had a really good season with Sparta. And I think that he's proven that over the course of the year that he's a top keeper. He's big, he's young, he fills out the goals. I like him. But look, listen, there's obviously going to be different situations to talk about. We'll come on to all of this stuff when we get to the Q&A portion. But absolutely, Mark, we do need other players in those areas. Put me in goals. I don't think that will be a good idea. I must admit, I don't think so. No, 35 still got a few years left. Says who though? He's not said it himself. Every goalkeeper, I've seen someone with an opinion that 35 is young for a keeper. 35 is not young for a keeper. 35 is still old. Someone's saying, oh, he could play till he's 41, 42. Not just because a couple of keepers have done that doesn't mean every keeper's going to do it. Joe Hart is literally the prime example. He's retiring at the age of, 36, 37. There's no guarantee, and Dubravka was piss poor for Newcastle last year. I cannot express it enough how bad he was. Newcastle fans can't wait to get rid of him. He single-handedly dropped points for them. I think it would be a real just cheap and lazy option for the board to go in and do that. But anyway, £8 million. Some people saying, yeah, I guess that's the case. £8 million is maybe a lot better out there, but how many out there is there that's going to want to come to Celtic right now? That's the big question. People saying Mvogo, another one. If you watched my video yesterday, was in my. I think there's 4 keepers who I'd be happy to see sign for Celtic this summer. And I don't want. If you haven't watched it, please go back and watch it. It would be appreciated. But the 4 keepers that I think I came down to in the end were Peter Vindahl Jensen, Ugurkan Sakir of Trabzonspor, Von Mvogo, of course, as well, and who was Alti Binder of Manchester United. Those were the 4, and I think that's the 4 that I'd be happy with if any of those 4 signed. So he's definitely an option. Should sign Grady McGarth, says Word Up Conflicts. Thank you for the donation, very much appreciate it. Grady McGarth, is this who? I mean, Who is this who I think it is? Oh, he plays for Brecon. That's not who I think it is. I'm assuming that's a friend. Yeah, let's sign him. Why not? Before we get on to the last transfer story and get the update on Ryan Idah, I've seen that. This is funny because me and my dad have this conversation all the time, Edward. My dad grew up with the Lisbon Lions. My dad's in his 70s. And he says, we signed a keeper called Simpson at 39 years old. A very, very different world. Very different time now. And fair play to Ronnie Simpson. Came in at that age and was a great keeper for us, of course. I think we got him from Hibs, didn't we? But, 60 years ago. And love him to bits, respect, Lisbon Lion, but very different world. Let's see, JP, hello JP, nice to see you. Evening mate, hope you're well. Jensen seems a great profile at 26. Yeah, absolutely, I agree, I absolutely agree. Anyway, so that's the case with Vindahl Jensen. I want to really get into the Q&A, so should I very quickly go over the last story and the last update we need to go. Plunge McNugget correcting one of the former commenters saying he was 36. Listen, I wasn't around at the time, so don't ask me what age he was when he signed. I know he was older anyway. And Donny Tiny Hands point he was 5'10". Listen, let's just love Ronnie Simpson for what he done and who he is, right? No point in debating about his age and his height. So Norwich City update with Adam Idah is that he's informed Norwich he wants to leave. It looks as though that's going to happen very, very soon. Peter Rourke reported on social media site X, formerly known as Twitter, that he's informed Norwich he would like to leave the club to join Celtic permanently following his successful loan spell last season. And apparently that deal that was originally knocked down from Norwich of £4 million. Celtic have went back in, so we're waiting to hear if that bid gets accepted, but I think that one will be done very, 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 very quickly. When the deal is accepted and when a number is met that Norwich are happy with. So I think that's a case of deal accepted, Adam Idah straight on the first flight to Glasgow, straight to Ross Hall, medical contract, boom. I don't think there's going to be many disputes when it comes to the contract. And I think it's a real mark of how much Adam Idah wants to move that he's played for one club his entire career permanently, and it's Norwich City. It's the team he came up through. It's the team he's been at. Right now, at the age of 23, he's been there his whole career, and he's like, bye, I want Celtic. He wants off, he wants to come up here. I think it's a real showing of how much he wants this move to kind of just ditch everything that he's known his whole career. So I think that one, as I said, will absolutely happen very, very quickly. We just need to get that offer accepted from Norwich. So he's made it clear he wants to leave. We should have him very soon. I don't like putting numbers on things, especially when I'm not in the know, but I think we could see Adam Idah a permanent Celtic player by the end of next week. So we're currently sitting on the 9th of July. I think by the 19th of July, 10 days' time, I think Adam Idah could be standing at Lennox Town in the full kit with his photo ops done. As long as the medical's passed and everything else like that. So keep an eye on that. Right, we're going to get into the Q&A in a moment. Stay with me. By the way, over 400 live viewers for the semi-final evening of the Euros on a Tuesday night. So thank you if you're tuning in. We're not done yet. We've still got a little bit to go. I want to get all your points. But if you haven't, please urge you to drop down below, hit like, hit subscribe. We have passed the mark of 44,000 subscribers, which is absolutely huge. Thank you so much. It keeps us... Listen, I'm not a braggadocious fella, and I never have been, but do you know what? Sometimes you got to brag. We're the #1 most subscribed Celtic YouTube channel, apart from the actual Celtic Football Club channel. So, thank you. You guys have made this the biggest channel, and I couldn't do it without you. And keep up the support as we head into the next season. Ian, who comes in before we start the Q&A, I'll get the donation, of course. If you donate, get priority. Ian, thank you for the 5, saying, hi Ryan, I'm a Toon fan as well as Celtic, and Dubravka is a decent shot stopper, but does cause panic to the defence as well, so I think Celtic should stay clear. The Newcastle fan says it himself. Thank you, Ian, for backing me up in my points. It's not like I'm spreading absolute nonsense when saying the Newcastle fans aren't too fond of him in recent years. But thank you for the donation. I hope we do stay clear of the Dubravka stuff. Let him go elsewhere. There's no point in us replacing, and this is my final point on the Dubravka stuff just now, there's no point in us replacing 36-year-old Joe Hart with 35-year-old Martin Dubravka. It's short-sighted, it's useless, and it puts us in the same position in a year or two's time. Bring in a Vindahl Jensen, bring in somebody in that age range, bring in somebody even at 30 years old that've got a good solid 5 years in them, and we'll be absolutely fine. Thank you, Ian. God bless you. Love seeing you in here always. You're one of the top subscribers on this channel. Love you, mate. Right, let's go. Q&A. We are on the 20-minute mark, so let's do 10 or 15 minutes of the questions. Thank you very much. I try. My pals will tell you otherwise, but I try. I would assume so. I would be disappointed if it wasn't, to be quite honest. Oh, this is nice. Ryan, you're not an arrogant prick, unlike a few other YouTubers I could name. You're a good guy. Oh, thank you. I'm not going to cause any drama and ask you to name these arrogant pricks. But listen, there's no point in being arrogant. I'm very grateful that I'm allowed to do this for a living. If it wasn't for you, I'd be, trying my best to find a job I'd maybe be quite miserable in. So, I'm always grateful. I always try to be as humble and down to earth about it as I possibly can. Right. That was another thing that we haven't actually spoke about very quickly, because, and I want to get into the Q&A, Matt O'Reilly, Atletico Madrid, Saúl Ñíguez has left Atletico Madrid. He's joined Sevilla on a permanent contract, which means that was the thing that we were waiting on to see if it had a domino effect on Matt O'Reilly. So keep an eye out on that. Atletico could move for Matt O'Reilly very, very soon. However, the last thing that I read about it and the last thing that I heard about it was the fee is still too high for Atletico. They don't want to pay the 30 million that Celtic are looking for. So I think they might come in and try and negotiate and bring that down. Otherwise, they will look at other options. Still anticipate the departure of Matt O'Reilly, of course, but will it be to Atletico Madrid? I don't know. Right, questions. Let's get in. This is actually an interesting one, just to break up the transfer chat for a moment, because a lot of people have asked me about this. What do I make of the Rangers Stadium situation? Thank you, Doug, by the way. Is a good moderator on the channel. What do I make of the Rangers situation? It seems to have gone quiet. Rangers fans are going crazy at the ball. I think it's embarrassing, quite frankly. Listen, I know things happen, and you can't always be in total control of outside companies who are contracted to come in and do things. Listen, I know these things must be difficult to control at a higher up level, but the situation that they've left themselves in, especially at a point in time where Rangers have not got an awful lot to brag about, they've not got an awful lot to be happy about, and their supporters are understandably frustrated. For the board to go out there and do something as stupid as what they've done and to handle it in such a poor way, I think is embarrassing. The fact that they won't be playing at Ibrox potentially for a very lengthy time is embarrassing. And the fact that Rangers are probably going to miss out on a lot of money due to this as well and have to sacrifice a whole lot is embarrassing. So that's my opinion on it all. If they'll find somewhere to play, Christ, they might be playing at Greenfield Park at this rate, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, very, very weird situation. But I'll comment more when they finalised and details are all out, when it's actually, when we know when they're playing and how long they're playing there for. So Craig saying we require a goalkeeper, a left back, a centre half, midfielder, wingers and a striker. The season starts in 26 days. We can't even get Bernardo and Idah over the line. I think that I'm glad that I'm somehow managing to be patient over it. That's not me taking a dig and saying, oh, you should all be like me. It's not, by the way, it's not. But I'm glad I'm not in panic mode yet. I think when I'm back from Santa Ponza and there's nothing done, then I might hit panic mode. But you're absolutely right, Craig. You're bang on. I think the only thing that's giving me a little bit of comfort is the fact that Rodgers said in his interview the other day, look, we could have had 8 or 9 signings through the door by now, but we're looking to sign the right players. We're looking to sign quality players. And I think that Brendan Rodgers really is getting the chance to sign his players in this window. So the only comfort I've got right now is the fact I do trust Brendan Rodgers, and hopefully the board will back him. But then with our board, how far can you trust that backing? Because not very. Listen, I'm maybe a week or two away from panic mode, but I can understand the frustrations, and I think you're quite entitled to be frustrated if you are. I think the good thing is at least Rangers aren't signing, real quality at the minute. A lot of the players Rangers are signing don't worry me too much. And just the whole situation that's gone on over there is kind of giving me comfort. But in other years, you could say we're getting off with it a little bit. So I was patient last season. It got me nowhere. I was actually like, I think I was the reverse last year. I did have to go back and watch my videos. I think last year I wasn't as patient, and it got me nowhere. And this year I'm trying to be patient. And then Plank Ensemble, who has a comment on that front saying, I seem to have become more calm about business happening slowly. In the past, Ryan, you were going crazy when Ange came in and it was going slow. Which is weird, because I've seen people saying today that, like, oh, Ange would never let this happen, sort of thing. And I was kind of looking at it and going, well, I mean, he obviously had these couple of players who came in early. You know, we had the lining up of Hatate and Maeda and Idiguchi, that one January window and such. I think, look, listen, ultimately, I think I'm trying to look at things as rationally as I possibly can this window. And because I understand how difficult it actually is. And especially, look, do you know what I think it is, Plank Ensemble, to answer that point, and in case people are wondering how I am more calm this year? I think the reason I'm more calm this year than previous windows is because I've seen how bad last year's window was. Last year's summer window, we didn't make one good signing. Palma, halfway to good, maybe. We didn't make one good signing, and I think that was down to the fact that we didn't carry out the correct amount of due diligence or scouting, and we just went in and signed these players. And there wasn't enough correspondence between the change of managing to make these signings as well. I think a lot of them were brought in to maybe be Ange Postecoglou players, so your Marco Tillios, your Kwons, your Yangs. I think these were all guys who really were meant to be for an Ange Postecoglou side, and maybe that's why it didn't go so well. So this year I'm being patient because I understand the difficulties there is in signing quality players. If you don't want projects, you're going to have to be patient, because deals aren't done by the click of a finger. And I think you can see that around world football at the minute as well. It's not just Celtic. So when I urge for patience, I think that you've got to look at the outside examples as well. I think you've got to look at that, because a club like Manchester United, who are in desperate need of signings, they're in negotiations for players, but it's going slow. They've not signed one of them yet. Bigger clubs around the continent are the same. Man United was just the first example to come to my mind. It's not as if top clubs are now running away making signing after signing. I can't think of many who have made, 4, 5, 6 consecutive signings in a very quick period of time, because teams are far more reluctant to sell nowadays, especially when they know they can make more money in different areas. So I think that it is difficult, and I'm trying to understand that difficulty. Not to get too ranty about it, but I think that's how I would try and word it. And as Celtic fans, it's obviously difficult. But I think that we should look at these other clubs to see that we're not the only ones that are struggling to get players through the door at the minute. Teams don't want to sell. So that's how I would kind of end that. Beside the board. Let's see what other questions I get. It's coming back. Don't worry. I've been immensely busy. Word Up Conflict. Thank you. Saying, Ryan, you look like the rapper Marman. A double of you. Thank you for the donation. I have no idea who Marman is. Shall we find this out together? Marman. I don't. Is it? You look like the rapper Marman. I've typed in Right. Okay. I've found them. Actually, I've never heard of him. There's barely any search results for him. I can see a slight resemblance. But he's more ginger than me. So, pack that in. Thanks very much. Cheers for the donation. Right, let's see. Let's get some more questions. God, I went on a bit of a rant in that last one, so apologies. I don't mean to hold up the entire stream for one question. Do you think there's a chance of signing Kvistgaard? No, it's went quiet. Another one of the McGinley spectaculars kept fucking shouting in the podcast and tweeting that we were signing him this summer. Where is he then? Just use Stein Tenerife McGinley. No, I'm joking. I don't think so. And I never did think as well. I remember saying that McGinley. I was like, do you think so? I was like, why? Why would we if we're signing Idah? DM McDonald Holmworry saying, I hope you're well. Idah and Bernardo's a good start, but we need 4 or 5 quality first team players in my opinion. Yep, I agree. Absolutely. We're playing tomorrow, of course. I might talk about that. Yes. Should I do a live stream? Should we do a watch along for Queen's Park Celtic? It's the only watch along we'll get doing this summer. So maybe. But listen, I don't really care who plays. They're friendly, but give Lawal another run out. Absolutely. what specific date did Yang come in last year? He came in and I can tell you right now actually because no, I can't tell you. I talk. Well, maybe. Is there a reference here? Yang joined on the 24th of July, 2023. That was when Yang signed for the club. There you go. I've answered your question for you. So Yang came in on the 24th of July. I would love to. Do you know what I might do in a video this week to get all this sort of the talk about how long it's taken us to make signings? Is get the list up of dates we signed players last year. Should we do? We could do that right now, to be fair, just to see if we're all just getting carried away a little bit. 'Cause I feel like we are. People saying watch along sounds good. The only thing is the England game's on at the same time, and I think more people have interest in that than watching me watch Queen's Park. So there, yeah, Yang was the first signing, if I remember correctly. That's way later than I thought. This is what I was just thinking. I was like, are we all just running away and getting a bit fucking carried away again because, you know, social media tells us to? Because I remember Yang being one of the first signings, and that was the 24th of July. It's the 9th of July right now. The window only opened 9 days ago. You know what I mean? So are we getting carried away? I'll let you guys decide that. But I remember him being one of the first signings as well. 24th of July. That was when the statement was put up. Let's see. What else can we get? Yang Kwan and Navrovsky signed the same day. Oh dear. That was a poor day for the club. Well, no offence, Navrovsky, actually. No offence, Navrovsky. Is the Atletico Madrid goalkeeper news true? I think he's been looked at. Moldovan, the Atletico Madrid backup keeper, he's asked to leave the club, so we'll see what happens with it. Will Celtic sign him? God knows. Declan saying, it was nice meeting you after the air game, Ryan, whilst the pitch invasion carnage was happening. Nice to meet you too, Declan. A pleasure to meet everybody that I met the other day and all the rest of it. But you, Declan, thank you. I appreciate that. I hope you didn't steal that corner flag, son, by the way. That's all I'm saying. Still no head of recruitment. Not announced anyway, Mark. Not announced. As I've said in a few live streams by now, if there's been one and they've not announced it, you've got to ask the question why. So that, is it just to allow Rodgers control of this window? Don't know, but I would love answers. Hopefully, somebody, I don't know when I'll be at my first fan media press conference, but the question needs to be asked about the head of recruitment. It really does. Someone's got to ask that question. Yeah. Right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up there because we've went well over the half hour mark now, 33 minutes. So thank you everybody for tuning in. It was a really fun live tonight. We got some chat, we got some talk, got some donations, which are always appreciated. So thank you to everybody who donated, and just thank you to everybody who came in and watched, commented, liked, watched quietly. Thank you as always. If we are live tomorrow, I'll let it be known in a video, or I'll put it on the channel community section or whatever. But if not, it will just be a normal video. So just keep an eye out. Thank you for watching tonight. I do appreciate every single one of you. Hope that Holland win. And I hope that... Who do I want the final to be? Who is it again? France and who? Spain? I hope it's a Spain-Holland final. Run back 2010. There we go. Right, God bless. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll see you all next time. Ta-ra.